Hi, my name is Lee Heron. I'm a personal injury lawyer here in Florence, South Carolina. The name of this video is The Passenger Always Gets Paid. Let's talk about a situation that comes up all the time. Imagine you're riding with a friend of yours and you're going down the road and your friend is approaching an intersection. As your friend is approaching the intersection, the light starts to turn yellow. Your friend keeps going through the intersection. On the other side of the intersection, waiting to make a left-hand turn, is another driver. Well, you know what happens next. As your friend goes through the intersection, the person making the left-hand turn starts to make that left-hand turn and there's an accident. Well, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go to the emergency room, you may miss some time off from work, and a week's going to go by, 2 weeks may go by, and you're going to have a $10,000 ER bill, you're going to have a week's worth of lost wages, and you're wondering what's going to happen. Well, call me and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And I tell clients this all the time. I can either tell you what you want to hear, or I can tell you the truth. And when you talk to me, I'm going to tell you the truth. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to say, look, there's good news and there's bad news. Here's the good news. You'll be fully compensated for everything that has happened to you out of this accident. And what I mean by that is you'll get your medical bills paid, you'll get your lost wages taken care of, and you'll also get the compensation you deserve for your pain and suffering. You'll get those things. The bad news about that is it's going to take a little bit longer than normal. And here's why. The person you're riding with, do you think they're going to say they're at fault for the accident? No. And you may not even think they're at fault for the accident. So the person you're riding with is going to say, I'm not at fault for the accident. Let me ask you another question. Do you think that other driver who made that left-hand turn, you think they're going to say they're at fault for the accident? No. Those two drivers, your friend and another driver, are going to do this. They're going to point the fingers at each other. And here's how it's going to work out. Let's say your friend has State Farm insurance on their car. And let's say the other driver has Allstate. Allstate is not going to offer to pay for your medical bills and pay for your lost wages and pay for your pain and suffering. The flip side of that works the same way. Your friend's insurance company, State Farm, is not going to offer to pay for your medical bills, your lost wages, or any of your pain and suffering. Because they're also going to be pointing the fingers. State Farm's going to say it's Allstate's fault, Allstate's going to say it's State Farm's fault. So what happens? Here's what we're going to have to do in that case. We're going to have to file a lawsuit. And you hear this in all my videos. The biggest complaint I have about people and thinking about lawyers is, I don't want to sue anyone. Everybody says, I don't want to sue anyone. And you hear me say this all the time. I don't want to sue anyone either. Lawsuits take time, lawsuits take money. So if we can get the case settled quickly and for what's right, we'll do that. But in this case, we're going to have to file a lawsuit. And here's why. Because we're going to have to get to the bottom of who's at fault. But here's one thing we do know. We know the passenger, you, didn't do anything wrong. If you watched my last video, we talked about comparative negligence. And just as a quick recap, comparative negligence in South Carolina means you can contribute to your own accident, but you can still recover money. And when you watch that last video, go back and watch it, you know exactly why. You basically get to compare the negligence of the parties. Well, in your situation, being a passenger, what we're going to do is we'll go to mediation. And I'm going to talk about the whole litigation process in some future videos. But mediation is a settlement conference. It's a chance to settle your case. And mediation, we're going to try to get Allstate, the other driver, we're going to try to get State Farm to come to an agreement to compensate you fully for your injuries, your lost wages, and your medical bills. We may or may not be able to be successful with that. If we're not successful, we're going to end up in a courtroom. And in that courtroom, and you'll know this from my other video, there'll be your friend, there'll be the other driver, and there'll be a lawyer hired by State Farm and a lawyer hired by Allstate. But remember, we can't tell the jury State Farm and Allstate. We have to sue your friend and the other driver, and we can't tell the jury we're actually trying to get the money from Allstate and State Farm. Remember, that's a secret. So at trial, your friend and the other driver are going to point fingers at each other. And we're just going to sit there. We probably would just sit there and let them point fingers at each other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to present your damages to a jury. I'm going to tell them about your lost wages. We're going to tell them about your emergency room bill. We're going to tell them we're going to put you up to testify if you still have any problems as a result of this accident. You may have a bulging disc in your neck. Whatever it is, we're going to tell the jury that. And at the end of the trial, we're going to ask the jury to compensate you for your emergency room bill, your pain and suffering, and your lost wages. And on that jury verdict form, the jury will determine who's at fault for the accident. They'll either say your friend's 100% at fault, they'll say the other driver's 100% at fault, or they're going to compare the negligence of the drivers. They may say your friend's 50% at fault, the other driver's 50% at fault. But guess what? You're not at fault at all. That's why the passenger always gets paid. What's the end of the video? And you know what I'm going to say next. Personal injury lawyers like me are everywhere. But the thing that separates me from most personal injury lawyers is ever since I became a lawyer, one of the last things I do before a client leaves my office, I take one of my business cards. On the back of that business card, I write down my personal cell phone number. I give it to the client and say, look, if you ever have any questions, if you ever have any problems, feel free to call or text me at any time. Shouldn't your personal injury case get that kind of personal attention? If you've been involved in a car accident, give me a call at 888-9REG9. It's a free consultation. If you don't get anything, you don't owe us anything. So give me a call at 888-9REG9, and I'll make sure your personal injury case gets the personal attention it deserves.